Welcome back to FFS, for finance's sake, the podcast where accountancy meets absolute HR mayhem. I'm your host, Rachael Chadwick-Harrison, Managing Director of Chadwick Accountants here in Warwickshire. And today's episode is called HR Nightmares, because if you've ever tried reconciling payroll during a disciplinary hearing, you know exactly the vibe. Joining me is someone who's seen more HR horrors than a payroll clerk on deadline day, Fiona Godfrey, CEO of Inicio HR. Fiona, welcome.
Thank you, Rachael. Thank you for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure to have you here. So let's get right into it. Let's set the scene. I mean, what possessed you, bravely, I might add, to build a business around HR?
Bold choice, wasn't it? Bold choice. I mean, it depends how far back you want to go. I trained as an actor, so naturally we love people. I find people fascinating. When that went to pot, small fish, big pond, I navigated my way into HR, again, because I love supporting people. I love supporting businesses get the best out of their talent. And I worked with my previous employer for a long period of time. We still work together now. I still collaborate with them. But I always wanted to work for myself. People think when you work for yourself, you must get as many holidays as you want a year, you get an easy life, you get to choose your hours. Do you? Hell, that's a load of rollocks.
It's the complete opposite, isn't it?
It's the complete opposite. But, I mean, I think I took the leap of faith maybe 2 years, 3 years sooner than I thought I would. But it just got to a point where I was like, I want to be adding positive values to companies, not just having the disciplinaries, the without prejudice conversations, the restructuring, which I can do in my blooming sleep, Rach, but it's being able to build reward and recognition strategies and helping companies with benefits and really adding positive value. And do you know, I blooming love it.
You love the nice side of HR, but you don't shy away from the hard side.
Oh, you know this. I never shy away from the hard stuff. Absolutely not. But no, I love it. It's the best decision I've ever made.
Brilliant. Well, what's one HR myth you'd like to bury here today?
Only one?
Yeah.
Grief. Okay, I think one of the key ones for me is businesses, even if you've got 5 employees up to 50,000 employees, you need HR. People think you don't, but as soon as you've got a couple of employees in your business, not even that, even subcontractors or sole traders, you need policies, you need processes, you need people to know where they stand. So,
it's for your own protection, really, isn't
massively,
it? And I always say the same with accountancy. People go off into business, they think, I can do my own bookkeeping, I can look after my own finances. You do the job that you do. You choose to be self-employed because you're good at something in particular.
Most definitely.
That's not HR and it's not accountancy. No. It's not even IT, you know? No. So hire in professionals to do the stuff that you can't do. Don't think you can do it all because all that happens is a massive headache.
Absolutely. And do you know what? HR is more complex than it ever has been.
So let's look at HR nightmares, the juicy stuff that our listeners can listen to and avoid themselves. Mm-hmm. So we've seen clients lose thousands because HR and finance were not singing from the same ledger. Mm-hmm. Give us your best payroll horror story and how you got finance and HR back in harmony.
I've got many horror stories. My big ones that I tend to see cause sticky wickets for payroll departments is when a HR function changes their HR information system and it sinks into the payroll systems and it's not landed effectively. I mean, the last thing you ever want to do in a business is cock up someone's pay.
Yes, because it really massively affects them.
That's the one thing you never want to get wrong. And I've seen it time and time again when that's gone awry. Also, new starters, not having the right documentation. I mean, you guys doing payroll, you not only get an individual's contract of employment, but you're looking after their P60, their P45, their P11Ds. You know, you're double checking their right to work as well. And I've seen it many a time where new starter documentation's not been collated properly. They've then been working and actually they didn't have the eligibility to actually work.
That's really scary because the fines can be huge for that.
Massive. 20 grand per employee if you're not careful. Yep.
So have you ever seen a business try to contractor their way out of taxes, land in a HMRC nightmare, you know, that IR35 legislation? What should accountants be looking for and sniffing out early?
I'm laughing because I see this all the goddamn time. A lot of businesses will bring individuals in as contractors to avoid tax.
Yes.
It does work out cheaper.
But that's what the IR35 legislation is there for.
Most definitely. However, there are numerous cases that are going through at the minute, and the amount of pickles I'm working with employers getting themselves out of, because it's great that you don't have to pay tax and NI, all right? So yes, that is a cost reduction for you and holiday. However, there's a fine line between a contractor and somebody who's actually employed. So there's case law we've got of individuals that actually have been declared unfairly dismissed.
Even though they were contractors. Wow.
Because if you set KPIs and performance targets for a contractor.
And if you give them line management responsibility. Yeah.
And you have frequent one-to-ones with them.
You're treating them like they're an employee.
Yes. And there's that fine line when then they're entitled to annual leave.
Yeah.
They're entitled to company benefits. They're entitled to pension. And it catches employers out frequently. It's a fine line you've got to tread. If those of you out there, if you're not sure whether to get a contractor on or an employee, just give us a shout.
Definitely.
Because it can get you in a sticky position if you're not careful.
Yeah, definitely ask the professionals on this. I know that HMRC put out like these little calculator things where you can put in the information, but I find it doesn't have a catch-all situation, and you're just so much safer just speaking to a professional who knows.
It's disguised employment if you're not careful.
Yes, it is.
And HMRC are the first ones that will jump all over you, and then the tribunal, and then nobody got time for that, Rachel.
And then not only do you end up paying your employer's NI, but you end up paying the tax and NI that you should have deducted from that employee.
Yeah.
So they walk away kind of scot-free, don't they? Because the onus is all on the company now. It used to be the other way around, wasn't it? And it was much easier then when the contractor, it was up to them. If they buggered it up, they had to deal with the tax problem. But now it's all on the company.
It's all on the company.
And it's terrible. Absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
I'm aware of one particular person who they ended up paying a huge fine. And the reason they got them and said it was employees was simply because they wore uniform. Everything else they did was very much contractor based. They had their own equipment. They didn't have set hours, all these sort of things. Yeah. But because they wore uniform, HMRC said employees.
Definitely. And do you know what catches their companies out the most on that? When you do a 2P or an acquisition, an merger and acquisition, that tends to catch people out quite frequently, because when you're selling from one company to another, yes, everything kind of merges over and stays the same, but new businesses like to put their own sparkle and add their own value in different ways, and often they end up treating contractors as employees. And again, any liability then sits with that new
company.
Yeah.
You've really, really got to do your homework on this. Massively. Get a professional. Okay, so onboarding or overboard. Can you share a client who totally fluffed their new hire process, and what KPIs you'd want on your accounting dashboard to catch it?
Okay, many moons ago, I worked for an organisation, fabulous organisation. We got caught out with right to work. Massively, which involved the Home Office actually coming in.
That's frightening.
And removing individuals from the business. Since then, companies that I go and work for and support with, I will always ensure, and you're my client as well, Rachel, I said, right, you're right to work, we've got to make sure I's are dotted, T's are crossed, making sure you've got P45s, making sure that you've got the correct contracts in place, any change letters as well, because that's one thing I find employers get caught out on with their payroll teams is HR will do a change agreement and say, yeah, we're increasing your hours, yeah, your pay's going up to X, and they forget to tell payroll. So it's making sure you've just got stringent processes in place. Now, my personality is very quirky, and I sometimes don't apply myself to the detail and the data, but when it comes to stuff like this, it's incredibly important.
And I will say that accountants who go and audit companies, they actually don't just look at the numbers. This is one of the areas they look at because it's a risk area. They look for contracts and then they see if that contract reflects what they're being paid on payroll. And if that person's being paid more and you've got no letter to prove what happened, problems.
Huge problems.
Yeah. So just keep your records. If you agree things, if someone changes a contract, no matter if it's a goodwill in gesture and everybody's agreed around the table, it's verbal, you need something in writing.
Definitely.
Just writing to confirm our discussion earlier. We agreed X, Y, Z.
Most definitely, because remember, verbal contracts don't exist, people. You need things in writing. Back yourselves up, always.
So moving on, when HR meets accountancy and it's a crime scene, what's the messiest collision between HR and finance you've ever had to referee, and how do you keep both departments from quietly despising each other?
Do you know what? I think it is. You've got to make sure that, payroll is a people function, all right? It's not just a numbers game. And HR should be working collaboratively with finance teams, operations, clinical, compliance, payroll, the whole shebang. Because we are the kind of glue that keeps everything together. We're the enforcers of policies and procedures and processes. When it comes to payroll and HR, what I encourage teams to do is make sure you're having frequent one-to-ones.
Making sure everyone's aware of what's going on.
What are the pain points that payroll are struggling with? Making sure that even HR check spreadsheets before payroll goes through and payments get submitted. It's having that collaborative working.
And a good process for every change that happens.
Because once you've got an absence of trust towards a HR team from any department, credibility comes down.
That's
hugely.
true.
And it's just important to have that strong working relationship between payroll departments and all departments in HR, because we're the ones that will catch you when you fall.
That's very true. Thank you for that.
No worries.
So, hot topic really. AI in HR, friend or firing squad? What's your take on AI making the hiring decisions? Now, we know several people who just they put their job advert out and then they go into ChatGPT, they paste the job advert in, and they actually just take the CVs and dump them in there and say, tell me who the best 3 are. What's your opinion on that?
AI ain't going nowhere. It's here for the long haul. And do you know what? If it's used correctly, it's blimmin' brilliant. But you've got to be careful with onboarding, because you could be in breach of GDPR laws and also bias. So we've all got biases.
And actually, ChatGPT will have bias because of all the information that it's fed.
Yes. And you've just got to be very mindful. There's so many biases out there. You've got attribution bias, affirmative bias, education bias, gender bias, age bias. I mean, there's about 15 different biases. We all got biases. We're human. It's not a bad thing. It's being aware of it. But exactly like what you say, if you put it into a system that is built and factored into other areas of work that you've already done, for example, it's going to have its own bias.
It will.
You've got to be very, very careful. And what people don't realise is an employee, they don't have a day one right from the day they start. They have a day one right from the moment they put their CV in.
Yes, because they have a right to be treated equally. Yes.
And we see a lot of cases that come up that are, well, I've been discriminated against. I wasn't given this opportunity because of my age, because of my race, because of my gender. And you end up in court before and even if they don't get the job.
Well, yeah, I actually know somebody who took someone to court because they felt they were discriminated against for having children. And when they didn't get the job, they went into the company and had a look at who had been hired, and it was a young person with no children and much less experience and qualifications than she had. So she rightly went back and said, I want to see the scoring sheets, I want to see this, I want to see that. And when she didn't get anywhere, she went to court and she won.
Yes.
And rightly so.
Yeah.
Really.
But this is the thing, if you are going through a recruitment process, and I mean, by all means, use ChatGPT to fluff out your job descriptions, absolutely. But don't let it be the sole metric behind determining whether somebody is the right fit for the role.
You know what's interesting though is that I hear more candidates putting their CVs in with the job descriptions and saying, rewrite my CV so I look great for this job description. And then if the employer's shoving it into chat as well, they're going to come out top, aren't they?
Absolutely.
And they've done the least amount of effort.
Absolutely. And it's all about, unless you are a doctor or you're in a profession where you need certain skill sets and qualifications, I'm very much about hire people, not CVs. If somebody shows the right attitudes, the right hunger, the dedication, the passion to want to be in your company and learn, give them a goddamn chance.
Well, ChatGPT can't tell you that.
It can't tell you that. And this thing, it's a great tool. It ain't going nowhere. And in time, it's going to get even better and even more effective. But don't just use that to make your hiring decisions.
I must admit, I haven't tried using ChatGPT for that. I've used it for plenty of other things, but not for that. And I'd simply put out an Indeed ad with a couple of qualifying questions, you know. And if they meet the qualifying questions, I know they have the qualification and the experience to do the job.
Yeah.
So I just need to know if there's a culture fit, because that's so much more important.
So much more important.
And so all I'm doing then is I have to see them in person. There is no robot that can tell them if they fit in with my team. And it's just so interesting, isn't it?
Team cohesion trumps everything.
It really does. You can take somebody who hasn't got the qualification, train them the qualification, train them the competency, give them the knowledge. They need that drive. They need that will to work. So taxable perks, P11D panics, we see them every year. Have you seen any cheeky benefit schemes blow up under tax scrutiny?
Yes.
Go on.
If you're going to give a team member a voucher to say congratulations, well done, make sure it's within a reasonable limit.
Yes, if you give them £100, it becomes very different.
Most definitely. If you're going to give them a little spa treatment to say really, really well done, you've won this incentive, be very, very mindful of the value and the allowance that you're allowed up to, my friends. I've seen several disasters, but I think it is just employers having an awareness of what the cap is.
Yeah, they don't seem to realise, do they? I've seen some incentivised sales teams with like brand new mobile phones and things. You know, win this iPhone and AirPods, and they all go mad. And I'm there, they're like, that's definitely a P11D benefit.
But companies do it, and smaller businesses tend to do it. And I'll be frank and call it a spade, to reduce their tax.
I don't think it's necessary to reduce the tax. I don't think they're even aware of it a lot of the time. They just think, I want to incentivise them to do something, and they all want an iPhone, or they all want the AirPods, or whatever it is. They all want a holiday in Mallorca. Yeah. So let's incentivise them to do that. And they don't think back, actually, this is disguised remuneration.
Yes,
yeah,
100%. I mean, it sounded awful when I said to reduce the tax, but you offset it against the business, reduces tax, but actually you're getting caught out in your P11Ds if it's not correct.
So it's very, very true. One to be aware of, listeners. The big bold fix. If you had total power to rewrite just the one UK employment law tomorrow, what would it be?
There's several I'd want to review, to be honest, but the biggest one I think for me is more of, I want to see more championing for neurodiversity within the workplace. It's a topic that's getting more frequently talked about. And when we talk about neurodiversity in HR, we talk about individuals who sit outside of what's considered atypical. Okay, so individuals who have ADHD, autism, dyslexia, dyspraxia. Now, and do you know, we're in a climate where we're talking about it more frequently, which is incredible, but it's given people the right support. Tribunal claims of the last 6 months have blown up as a result of employers not making reasonable adjustments for individuals who are considered neurodiverse in their workforce.
I think a lot of employers don't recognise the value that someone who's neurodiverse brings. You said earlier about having a wide variety of generations in a business and how that brings a great diversity. You get the new ideas, you get the old traditional ways of doing things. People work well together. It's the same with neurodiversity. You've got your atypical people, perhaps your people who are more people, who are more sociable, more happy to go out, do the business development, that kind of thing. Yeah. But you cannot discount the people who've got neurodiversity. People with autism, they can have hyper focus.
Most definitely.
They can really get into things.
So individuals with autism, you give them a problem that you need a solution for.
So creative.
Give them a little bit of time. So creative, but my God, they will excel your expectations. They will fine tune, go through every particular piece of detail to find the nooks of crooks, what you could be caught out on, and they will give you the most eloquent solution to a problem. Phenomenal in the way their brain's working. We need different personalities within our teams. You need different individuals who are going to bring different ideas. Someone who's close to the detail, someone who's big picture thinking, somebody who's more collaborative, somebody who's more driven. You need that.
You do. It's the same way if you looked at a neuroatypical person and thought, oh, they're really great at this part of their job, but they're not great at the writing part of their job. So you'd support them to improve that. 100%. It's the same with the people with autism. Yeah. So they struggle with organisation. Yeah. So sit down with them, or get a champion within the workplace who sits with them and says, right, how can we make your life easier? Mm-hmm. And, I've seen examples where people found that actually having a colour coordinated Outlook calendar made a huge difference to them. But they couldn't sit down and do it themselves. They couldn't decide what should be what. But you sit with someone and go, okay, what kind of meetings have we got? What kind of things do you do? Let's do that together.
Most definitely.
And you're supporting them to excel at their job. You've got to put those processes in place the same as you would with a neurotypical person.
Yes.
It's just being more aware of them.
Definitely.
You know.
And if you're not sure what to do or how to approach it, or what, just to remind people, reasonable adjustments means they have to support the business and the individual.
Yes, you can't go saying they need a chauffeur to take them to work every day.
Yeah.
Not necessarily reasonable.
No, not necessarily reasonable. Absolutely not. And, you know, occupational health are a fantastic tool who are there to kind of give an employer guidelines of what they could consider to introduce to best support. And again, if those adjustments don't support the business, as long as we can turn around and say, well, I can't do this, but
I've got this other
alternative for us to explore. Let's try and explore things together. You've got to show that you are willing and wanting to help individuals within the workplace to help them thrive.
Yes. And there's also some grants available for people with neurodiversity in order to help them get into work, get to work, whether that's paying for taxis or something. So if they are struggling with that aspect of it,
definitely
have a look.
It's the Access to Work scheme. I mean, the waiting list for that at the moment, whoo, Nelly, how long's a piece of string? But that opportunity is there.
It's there. And so look into it. It doesn't hurt to have a look, does it? Okay, so hit us with your top 3 no-nonsense HR practices that make CFOs and accountants sleep better at night.
Okay. Building team collaboration. Make sure you've got teams that work well together and effectively together, that there is solid communication. Communication is the biggest thing that falls down in any business. And CFOs and the finance department need to be in the know.
Definitely.
Everything. Right to work is the biggest one that keeps me up at night. Give me a tribunal or disciplinary any day, not an issue. Right to work, just make sure everything's in order and in place. Onboarding, make sure you've got your inductions completed thoroughly. Probation reviews, next year the laws change. You've got to make sure you're doing probation reviews to set people up to succeed, because obviously there's still ongoing conversations about under 2 years, unfair dismissal and constructive dismissals. A la poof, it's going out the window. It's going.
And it doesn't matter if you've only got one employee, you need to do that. You need to do all these things. I know many of our clients are following these practices. A lot of them come and ask for some general advice. We try and point them in your direction where possible. We say we're not HR. But so many people, they just think, I mean, you know, a typical builder takes on an apprentice labourer. He's going to have to do performance reviews. He's going to have to do that paperwork, you know, and they don't think about it, do they? No. So plan for it. Have a cup of tea before the job starts or whatnot. Grab that apprentice and document it.
Document it all. But one thing I will say on that tidbit, obviously you've got data subject access requests that people can put in. If you've got something that about an individual that you don't want to specifically share with others, just make sure you don't put their name and email addresses. So even though you're documenting things, just be mindful that at some point, if someone puts a DSAR in, you could set yourself up for a world of pain.
Yeah, don't call them names in these reviews and things,
No, definitely not. But yeah, it's all about honesty, transparency and fairness between everyone.
Well, Fiona, you've survived our HR Nightmares segment. Congratulations. You give us plenty to chew on. And I know every business owner listening is rechecking their P11Ds as we speak.
Good.
Where can our listeners connect with you and get a bit more Inicio HR magic in their business?
I love that Inicio HR magic. So you can follow me on LinkedIn, Fiona Godfrey, and also our website, which is www.iniciohr.co.uk. I'm always there to support, as in my team. We've got a fantastic team of people that work alongside me.
I'd expect nothing less.
They're joyful. So we're always at hand, even if you've got a quick query or you need a quick 20-minute catch-up. Not a problem. I've got your back. So you can catch Inicio HR on the 24th of September at Stratford Manor. We are holding a HR event for CEOs, CFOs, anyone who leads a business. It's more going to be, rather than HR death by PowerPoint, because ain't nobody got time for that, it's going to be a real engaging session. You're going to come away with a lot of takeaways and learnings about leadership and to help best practice in your business.
Wonderful. And do they need to sign up for that, or can they just turn up?
No, they'll need to sign up. Everything's going to be going live on Eventbrite in the next 2-3 weeks, so keep your eyes peeled, my friends.
Wonderful. Thank you, Fiona.
Thank you.
Brill. Well, thank you for tuning in to FFS for Finance's Sake, where finance and HR collide with humour, horror and a hint of spreadsheet therapy. And remember, for finance's sake, check the numbers.